Hello and welcome to the Petticoated Swashbuckler. My name is Maren, and today we'll make a cloak. So I'm currently working on recreating the inventory of an 18th century Englishwoman named Mrs. Bamford. She died sometime around 1780, and I am slowly, steadily working my way through that inventory. I will link it down below, by the way, and making all her garments. And the inventory includes 3 white silk cloaks. Now, I have no idea why she had 3 of them. Why they're white or why they're silk. Maybe she just liked white silk cloaks, I don't know. But I've decided to try and make one of those. One of them. I think one is enough for now. I've tried to have a look at what was a cloak in the 18th century, and there seems like there were a lot of different kind of cloaks. You could have what we tend to think of as a cloak, which is a big woolen garment that would keep you warm, keep you dry. That's one option. However, silk, and I mean especially white silk, it's not exactly famous for being warm and dry, is it? Well, warm maybe on a hot day, but so I thought maybe this is more of a sort of decorative mantle kind of cloak, and I found this, which is perfect. It's English from the 1760s, which is perfect for me. I've set my sights at everything between 1750 and 1780, and it's white, it's silk, and it's just gorgeous and really floofy and fun. So I think I'm gonna make that. I do not have a pattern for it. Last time I made a cloak, I used this one, which is, well, that was great, but the cloak I want to recreate, there's none in this that kind of match it. So I thought, a cloak shouldn't be too hard. I can probably make a pattern for that myself. So I have started trying to make little paper patterns. So this is one where the this is the shoulder. My head will go in there, and this is the front. The back is a little shorter, and this is the shoulder line. I think this is going to be too wide. This is almost a half circle. I think it's going to be too wide. So I've tried to making some that are not as wide. This one. So my head goes in here, and this is the front, this is the back, and this is the shoulder. And I think not as wide, but I think it'll look better. So my plan is to make, for once, I'm actually gonna make a mock-up, a test for my pattern of that. I'm also gonna use just a sort of fairly standard hood pattern, not unlike the green cloak that I will link somewhere here. Maybe a little smaller. The hood on the green cloak is fairly big, but then again, big might be good. They had big hair. So that's my plan: making a white cloak. Well, making a pattern and then making a white cloak. And because I had so much fun last time I made something out of not enough fabric, I thought I'd repeat that. So I have ordered this beautiful white silk taffeta, and you can hear it's taffeta. It's like it's such a nice sound. But I've only ordered 1 meter. I think it's like 140 long. So we'll see. Hopefully it will be enough. Want to come along? Now, those of you who followed me for a while know that I don't love the idea of making mock-ups. I rather find them tedious, they take a lot of time and fabric, but because I'm making my own pattern for this, I decided to go ahead and make one anyway, and I'm glad I did. One half of this cloak is a full half circle, and the other one is a little smaller, and I think I'll definitely go with the one that's a little smaller. As you can see, it flows really nicely, but it'll look different. This is the smaller side, and the shoulder seam is almost on the shoulder. The bigger one, however, can you see? The shoulder seam is like way back, which isn't ideal. And all in all, I'm happy with the fit of the cloak, I'm happy with the look of the hood, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it will look when I make it in silk. And this is all my pattern pieces laid out on the silk. Can you see there's not a lot of silk left, and what is left I will use for trim, so there will be like practically no silk left by the time I'm done. In addition to silk, I will interline it using some blue wool that I had lying around just to add a bit of body and warmth, and I will line it with some striped cotton and some white cotton satin for the hood. To make my life easier, I just basted the lining and the interlining together, so I can treat those two as one. I used a fairly big sort of herringbone-like stitch because it doesn't need to be small, it doesn't need to be nice. I'll remove it after I've sewn it up anyway. I then went on and stitched the now interlined lining pieces together to form an entire cloak. I stitched up the back seam and the side seams or shoulder seams. I just used a running back stitch because this is not a garment that's going to take a lot of strain, so it's all about making the seams quick and also flat. And to achieve the flatness, I cut away the excess fabric. And making sure to catch only my wool interlining, I just used a simple whip stitch and stitched down the seam allowances because this is now 2 layers of cotton and 2 layers of wool, and it can get bulky. So whereas I didn't do this for the silk, as I'll show you later, I did this for the lining. The silk pieces as well, I just stitched up back and sides, and using a running back stitch. Silk taffeta is usually it's fairly tightly woven. This one certainly was, so it takes a lot for it to actually fray in any sort of considerable way. So I didn't really have to secure my edges in any way. I just fold them out and press them to the side. I use my fingers for this. You can use your sort of bone tool or a ruler. I didn't want to use an iron at this stage because, well, irons and silk, they don't always mix that well, and as you can see on the right side of the garment, it's not really necessary. This is a fairly flat and a nice seam, and it works well for this garment. I then folded all my edges in on all the lining pieces, and also on the silk pieces. This is the hood lining, and just tack those down again to make my life more easy when I'm going to stitch them together with the silk. And here we go, doing the same on the silk fabric, just folding the seam allowance inwards and basting it down. Nothing fancy. Then I placed my lining and my silk edge to edge, and by making some small whip prick stitches along the front edge and the hem, I attached the two together. I left the neck opening open for now. I'll show you why in a minute. So this is my hood finished. I stitched the lining and the silk together, and then I stitched the back seam with all the nice little gathered pleaty things. I'm very happy with this hood. It looks nice and comfy. Here we have the open neck edge where the hood is going in. I first placed it this way and then realized that was the wrong way around. Would make for a very weird cloak. Luckily, I discovered before I started pinning and sewing, otherwise this would have been frustrating. So the back edge is stitched to the back seam is stitched to the back seam of the cloak, and as you can see, I'm just using tiny whip stitches to catch the top of the cloak and the bottom of the hood, and I used to distrust whip stitches. I don't anymore. Look at that, it's so neat, it's so beautiful, and it makes for a very nice little seam without a lot of bulk, which is great around the neck edge. And then I just folded the lining up, covering the whatever little seam allowance I did have, and stitched it to the lining of the hood using, again, small whip stitches. And this is the cloak so far. I am really very happy with it. It's a lot stiffer than it was when it was just a cotton calico mock-up, but it looks good. It looks the way I wanted it to, and I'm especially pleased with the pointy front and the hood. Now the cloak, that's my inspiration. It's trimmed with self fabric, and I didn't have a lot of self fabric left, as you could see. So what little I had left, I stitched together, and then, if the camera will focus, yes, I made a little ruched trim from what I had, and hopefully it will be enough to go around the entire cloak and hood. We'll see. I started at the mid-back because I realized, I reasoned that if I had enough for the hem of the cloak, that would look better than if I had enough for the front and the hood and part of the hem, but not all the way around. So I just took my trim, pinned it in place all around, and luckily I had enough. I had maybe 4 centimeters left of this trim when I was all the way around my cloak and my hood, so just enough. Whew. And then, using a simple spaced backstitch, I went in and I stitched my trimmings down. The stitches are visible from the inside, but I haven't seen the inside of the cloak that I used for my inspiration for this project, but from other 18th century garments I've seen, there are often quite a lot of sort of visible stitches on the inside, so I don't care too much. I also added a ribbon to the neck so that I could close it, and then I took it for a walk around my local little 18th century inspired park.